Hello and welcome to another video from me, this tutor. This one's a revision talk through all about the Manchurian Crisis. So in this video, it's a little storyboard talk through telling you all the key facts and knowledge about the Manchurian Crisis. It's got the events and the consequences, so you'll be able to do one of your explain questions really successfully. So watch this through a few times and then go to one of my tutoring videos to practice an exam question. Or you can have a look at my revision guide that's packed full of more questions and more tutoring videos to help you to understand this topic in more detail and be successful in your exams. Now let's go over to the talk through storyboard to find out all about the Manchurian Crisis. Okay, so our starting point for the Manchurian Crisis is the Great Depression. 1929, the Wall Street crash signalled the start of this Great Depression. The world in the 1930s was going to be very different and very challenging as countries wanted to solve their economic problems, their money problems. Japan was also badly affected and its trade was in trouble. America was one of the worst affected, and America had a big trading relationship with Japan, and America put up what we call tariffs to protect its own industries. It meant that importing things into America would cost more money. To solve their problems, countries like Japan would look for new financial markets or protect their own financial markets to sell goods. Countries needed to be trading and making money in this problematic era of the Great Depression. In Japan, the army had a lot of control and they wanted to protect the trade in Korea and Manchuria. So Korea was part of Japan and Manchuria had a lot of Japanese assets and factories within it, including a railway line. Then in particular, the silk trade was really struggling because it was quite an expensive item, a luxury item people were cutting back on in the Great Depression era, and the resources of the Japanese needed protecting in this chaotic environment. So on the 18th of December 1931, the Mukden incident took place. The Japanese army claimed that Chinese soldiers had interfered with the Japanese-owned railway line of South Manchuria. This was an important railway line. It was a trade link between Korea and Manchuria and the Manchurian factories that were Japanese-owned. So the Japanese invaded. Strange enough, they were prepared with their army to invade almost straight away, which was quite interesting, wasn't it? So you might therefore suggest it's a bit of a setup by the Japanese. To protect their railway, they invaded Manchuria and took control of the area. By February 1932, Manchuria was under the control of the Japanese with a puppet government set up. So puppet government means a controlled government by the Japanese. It seemed to be an independent state, but actually it was a Japanese-controlled state. And in March 1932, airplanes bombed Shanghai and took control of that area of China as well. The Japanese government tried to stop the army, but it was overthrown. The army took control of Japan. This was an issue that links right back to the Washington Arms Conference, that the Japanese army lost confidence in the government of Japan. China asked League of Nations for help at this stage. Japan responded they were defending their railway against China, as China could not control its own country. It was in chaos, which was a sympathetic argument to some people in the League of Nations. So the League of Nations sent Lord Lytton to investigate, but he took until April 1932 to get there, bearing in mind this incident started in 1931. Lord Lytton didn't like flying, so obviously it took a few months to get from Europe around the world to Asia to investigate. He did his investigations and came back to Europe, wrote his report, and in September 1932 Lytton published his report, an entire year after the whole incident began. By this stage, the Japanese had fully taken control of Manchuria, and it was too late. The League were told by Japan that they would not leave. So in February 1932, Japan was called to the League of Nations, and it announced it would not leave Manchuria, and it planned to invade more of China. The League voted for Japan to leave by 42 votes to 1. Obviously, Japan was the one. Isolated and not wanting to leave Manchuria, the Japanese simply left the League of Nations. The League discussed further sanctions, but the USA was not in the League, and the USA was Japan's main trading partner. And so they felt economic sanctions were not going to punish Japan because America would just keep trading. They discussed banning weapons for Japan, but could not agree. Some countries wanted to sell goods during the Great Depression, didn't want economic sanctions, wanted to sell weapons, and needed trade. So this caused problems in making solutions. Finally, military action was not possible as Japan was too far away. The League needed Russia or America to be in the League to help solve this. Russia bordered Manchuria, America was closer across the Pacific. So the League seemed to be a bit of a doormat, as this cartoon suggests. Japan and the world showed that the League was slow, was weak and divided. Okay, they couldn't make decisions quickly. Lord Lytton was far too slow, and the League was too divided. Importantly, it shows it cannot control one of its important permanent members. The permanent members can get away with things. So to the world, it looked even weaker now. There was not a permanent member in the Far East. So seemingly in the Far East, people could do what they liked. And if you think about the next set of events, the Abyssinian crisis, this looked like an example to Mussolini, maybe even a new leader of Germany, Hitler, that you could do what you liked. The League of Nations would not stop you. Okay, well, I hope that story has helped explain the Manchurian crisis and made it simple for you to understand. And do, as I said earlier on, have a look at some exam questions, practice your skills. Okay, if you found that useful, do look out for my other videos and do subscribe and maybe have a look at my revision guide. Okay, bye bye for now.